All right, so today we are going to talk about learning goals, and let's talk about why we even need learning goals. Because I personally, I can admit that I was very skeptical of the idea when I first started building e-learning courses. What was 13 years ago? I was like, yeah, learning goals. Okay, we need to do the content. We need to do the quizzes. We need to do the practical things. We need to put the experts on air. We need all the important stuff, and the goals. Well, we have the name of the course, right?
Yeah.
It says sales skills, or it says anti-money laundering legislation in Estonia. Well, obviously the goal is
To know
to know what it is and maybe do something. Well, okay, open the course, you'll see what's happening. But as we got more experience, we understood that that is probably one of the most important things that you can do with the course. And it's important because you can really do it wrong or not do that at all and just miss it, and that's a huge impact on what you're doing. Everything that we do is recorded and published on YouTube INTEA channel. So just Google YouTube INTEA Learning, you'll find our channel. All the breakfasts are recorded in there. Feel free to share them with colleagues and rewatch anything that you could have missed. And we'll probably start by talking, well, why exactly we need learning goals. And again, the understanding of this has evolved, I think, over the years, not just in our heads, but in the work that we do with clients and in general in the literature that we're reading in the articles that people publish. So I think the number one reason currently that is also kind of obvious is the communication aspect of goals, right? Essentially, when somebody begins a course and decides, like, do I really need it? Even if they are kind of pushed into this course because it's mandatory, they still need to understand, well, do I really care? Do I need to really put my head into this or I don't? And this is your crucial part where you communicate. It's about the name of the course. It's about the testimonials. It's about the credentials of the author. And it's about actually saying, what will this course do to you, right? How it will change your life. That's the main goal. And I think too often we see goals which are formulated in ways that don't really try to sell the course. And as we've spoken in another breakfast, we need to sell all the time. So to give you a bad example, can you help me with a bad example?
A bad example would be, first of all, to have too many learning goals. I mean, because then people will skip that slide, and if you're trying to sell something there,
right,
you have not done your job.
Right, so, exactly. It's like giving you all the benefits of something without, like, when you go into a store and somebody tries to sell you something and they give you all the all the information, but it does this and that and so on, and you're like, I'm not really interested in that. Like, I don't want to even listen to you right now. Instead of just saying one thing that could be relevant, or maybe two things, right? So too many goals will hinder your communication. The other aspect, I think, is not really focusing on the benefits of the course, right? Because your goal as a learner is to make your life easier. Most of the time when we work, when we go through learning, we're doing this to make our life easier, right? Maybe earn a little bit more money because we're better salespeople, or get less arguments from customers that we talk, or spend less time on filing something in those complicated systems, or not feeling like an idiot about some sort of legal framework that pops up all the time. It's about that. Whereas the company is typically focused on other things, and the reason why you as the learning manager is doing this course is entirely different. Maybe not to make anybody's life easier, but make more sales, or reduce the risks for your company for getting fines for not complying with some sort of framework or rule, and employees don't really care. So yeah, since goals are about communication, you have to think about that. If you don't use goals, or if you ignore that aspect of goals, you're missing out big time. The other part is kind of navigation, because when you start a course, you need to understand where you are and where are you getting with the course. What will happen after? The goals are as much about as what's in the course and why this course, and about what's the end game. To give you an example, I went through a music course. Actually, it's the course is the it's actually about both communication and navigation. So the course name was making your first dance music track. And I love dance music. I always wanted to try to make a track, and they really bought into this, because they said, "Well, you'll be able to make your first track afterwards." They were not telling me you will learn how to produce music, or you will learn how to use this specific music program, or you will learn about musical theory or something like that. No, I said you'll have a track, right? And that puts a tick mark in my head that, okay, well, first of all, that's something tangible, and second of all, I know that I have completed the course when I have the track. Because it's an online course, I will have access to it for a year. And how do I know that I'm done? When I've read everything, when I've downloaded that program, when I've done all the access, like, I don't know when I'm done. I'm done when I have the track, right? So this is the mentality of actually setting the goal of when you know when you're done inside the course. And finally, control. That's one of our favorite, absolutely favorite topics. We talked about action mapping, which is a way to control the amount of content in your course and decide which content is relevant and useful and which isn't, which is very difficult in itself, and even more difficult when you have a stubborn subject matter expert who wants to, they need to know everything. That's our favorite part. So yeah, when you set the goals, then at any point in discussing the course, building the course, and so on, you can in your head check, well, does this slide help me achieve this particular goal for the learner? No, then probably you can skip that, and vice versa, right? So I have this goal. So which slides help me in this sense? And we'll talk about a specific procedure for that in the end, in 20 minutes. Right now, speaking of good and bad goals, and there are definitely some. By the way, we use movie references throughout every our breakfast. So if you want to guess what movie is on the screen right now, or in previous screen, or in future screens, type your guesses and comments. We love that. So so there's good goals and bad goals. And I would say the number one reason to distinguish between those is the learner perspective versus company perspective. If you are doing just one pass at looking at goals, and I suggest that you actually do that. Just bring up any course that has some learning goals set in it, and look at them from this viewpoint. Okay. So are we talking about learner goals or company goals? Because that is definitely not the same thing in learner's mind, right? It's easy to confuse when you're the manager, but when you're a learner, it's so easy to say, well, why do I even care about that? Why do I need it? You kind of question this all the time, like, okay, another course, what's in it for me, right? And if you're talking about risk mitigations or cost savings, unless my salary is very directly tied to saved costs, like I'm a bus driver, right? And I'm doing a course on fuel economy, for example. And we've done courses for not bus drivers, but people who run in those FMCG cars for FMCG companies. So when you're doing this course, the company will save a ton of money. Well, if my salary is not in any way linked to the amount of fuel saved, well, why would I even care about this course? Yeah,
Or-
just step on it.
Yeah, or my favorite is when we are producing work safety courses, then somehow experts want to explain the framework, how we ensure work safety in the company.
Yes, yes, very good.
Why do I need to know the framework? I need to know how not to get back pain from sitting there it's hours at my desk.
It's easy to understand where it comes from because the expert spends most of the time designing the system which will allow to increase the safety, and they love it, and they've done it, and they want to talk about it.
Yeah, but therefore, I think it's important to, when you start to produce a course, is to define the business objectives. Those will be the company perspective things, and then transform them into learning perspective, into learning goals.
Yeah, and just ask yourself, like, will they even care about that? Try to get into the mind of your laziest learner, because the laziest learner lives in every learner. It's a question of whether you allow him to take over or not. So yeah, there's that. Now, another reason, another perspective that we suggest you can look at goals with is the sort of levels or hierarchy of goals. There are different goals, and I would say that on one hand, we have evolved from more basic goals to more complex goals in our goal setting process. But you don't have to actually strive to the top all the time, just to explained before that. So yeah, the goal levels, the very basic level of goal setting is knowledge, right? So when you formulate your goal, as in after this course, you will know how to work with the software. You will know how to file the specific paper according to our internal rules. You will know how to conduct conversations with your with people that you manage, for example. You will know how to do a 360 interview, or you will know, no, don't do that. Mm-hmm. So knowledge is absolutely basic thing. And, as we've spoken about a million times, knowledge does not lead to behavior change in most cases. So that's a very basic level. The next level is skills, right? And in terms of formulations, it's the learning goal of doing, right? So after this course, you will be able, right? Thank you. That's probably the good formula for that. You'll be able to do something, or you will. Ideally, there's a little bit of practice in that, so you will have built your first pivot table in Excel, right? Pivot tables are terrible. They're very useful. They're very difficult, in my opinion. I'm not very good at Excel. So if you're doing a course on Microsoft Excel, you will say that, okay, after completing this course, you will have your first track, right? Yeah. You will build your first automated report with pivot tables. Or after completing this course, you will have successfully audited your first client in our auditing company. Or you have successfully approved your first loan application, right? So you will have achieved something, right? And finally, behaviors, right? It's the goals, and it's something that's tricky to communicate sometimes, right? Because it's difficult to tell somebody that after this course you will behave differently or feel differently, because people hate kind of that push approach. Yeah. But sometimes people do want to change their own behaviors, like after completing this course, you will stop feeling guilty for procrastinating this much. Yeah. Or you will stop fearing public communication, right? Or
you will stop saying yes to everything is proposed to you. You will learn how to say no. Yeah. So it's a tricky path. Behaviors are not changed through one course, but so I would also suggest to be mild there and say that you will start, doing things differently, so you have to be really mild, because again, this is communication. If you communicate, you will never be late for a meeting again. That sounds a bit
it can sound scary, right? So there's three levels of goal setting, like what you will know after the course, what you will be doing after the course, or will have achieved once for the first time, and so on. But then also changing behaviors, and you can communicate all the things. If we don't talk about goals in the sense that this is one slide and it says learning goals and there's 3 bullet points. We can also talk about what will the experts say in the introduction, right? Or how are we marketing this?
Or why are we doing this?
Exactly.
It can be
stuff like that. And you can focus on different parts of that, because again, back to my dance music experience, one of the things was that a lot of people do something for the first time and then don't do that ever again. And what really changed my perspective was that I actually made the other track and the third track, and maybe there's a couple of more in the work, but I was not doing that before. But my behavior now changed. I know how to devote time, how to discipline myself, how not to get frustrated, how not to beat myself up. It's all about psychology, and they promised that I will be able to do that. And I thought, well, yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing all the time. I do a little bit, and I think, well, it's terrible. Doesn't sound like my favorite DJ out there at all, and I will give up for half a year or something. So you can change, you can aim for behaviors, and you can communicate about that as well. To that effect, just a reminder, we will not spend a lot of time on Bloom's taxonomy. Tons of literature on that, and we, I think, spoke about that.
Yeah, we've spoken about Bloom's taxonomy as one of the breakfasts.
But the idea is that there is kind of levels of how deep you can learn something, from just remembering a fact or understanding a process, to actually being able to create new things and disassemble concepts and assemble new concepts and stuff like that. Work with that. And again, there's a big caveat there. Well, first of all, the phrasing part, right? This is phrased as verbs, and you can kind of check yourself. So after the course, I would switch remember for know, and then it's very easy. That it's you look at your goals and you understand. Well, after this course, you will know or remember or facts or something, or understand, and you understand that you were really low in the pyramid. If your goal is that you will be able to create stuff, well, you're up there. But there's a caveat that you don't need to climb to the top with every course, with everything that you do, because setting a too ambitious goal is counterproductive. Counterproductive for the learners, counterproductive for you. You don't need to change people's life with every course. Sometimes you just need to make sure that they know something, put a tick box somewhere, and your company is shielded against legal action, and that's it, right? So no one cares, and everyone cares about making their life easier and skipping to this course as fast as possible. Probably it won't be the proudest course that we've built or something like that we show at conferences, but there's a ton of stuff like that. So you don't need to spend so much, like, pick your battles, right? You don't need to spend all the resources on getting up there in terms of creativity and doing new stuff and changing psychology every time with every course, every goal. Right. So the another way to look at the same pyramid, just to end the kind of your aiming part, right, is that there's goals, right? This is where we want to get, right? There's outcomes. You can also talk on the learning goals slide. You can talk about outcomes. Right?
Basically, your ability to create that track you spoke about.
Yes, that's the outcome.
It's actually an outcome. Yeah, that's why this goal sounds so good and sounds so sexy and interesting for the learner, because it's an outcome.
Yeah, my goal is to, let's say, become a music producer, quit e-learning job, and become famous. Obviously, COVID has undermined basically my plans, and so I'm still here for now.
Yeah, stadiums still empty.
Stadiums are still empty and waiting for me. Yeah. Right. So anyhow, But it's no, if frankly, even doing this just for yourself, not showing to anyone, like being creative, it is an amazing feeling.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the goal and that's the outcome. You'll have your first track because the outcome, you can define outcomes differently. You'll have your first album, right? Or you'll have your first live gig, or you'll create your first template on which you will base everything else, or you'll find your signature sound or something like that. So apply this to your own courses and see where the outcomes are, because goal is essentially direction and the outcome is the point B which you promise to people, right? And then another little kind of
underlying.
It's an overarching underlying.
It's how you want to build it.
Exactly. It's the success criteria. Well, how do you know that it's the outcome, right? So it's like, well, if you take this road, if you've been to our office, there is a road that leads to outside of Riga, and you take this road and you go there. Well, that's the goal, to go in that direction, right? And there's the outcome. There is a beautiful town of Sigulda where you will get. Once you get there, you know that you're done. But how do I know that I got there? Well, it's gonna say Sigulda in big letters, right? Or you will see this beautiful castle in there. Okay, this is how I know. So that's what applies to your learning goals slide as well, right? So how do you know that you actually completed the course? Because it's important for learners, right? Aside from that lazy learner that lives in everyone, we need to also trust our learners that there is a diligent, hardworking, good faith person in there who actually wants to do better. And we're building the courses not to hammer something with a stick into those people, but actually we're giving them tools to make their jobs better because they want to, because they're motivated, right? We kind of hopefully we manage people from that kind of perspective mostly. So you need to explain to them, how will they know that they have completed the course? Will there be a knowledge check where you need to get at least 90% so that you know? Again, if your criteria for passing the course is let's say 80% on the knowledge check, you can tell them that 80% of the knowledge check is what you need. If you get beyond 90, you are in like top 1% of people who has done this course. If you get into 99, you will get a special award because no one has done that before. It's one of the ways to setting the success criteria. But for me, it's important because if the bar is very low, I know that I will probably pass this. It's not a problem. But how far? Like, am I really good? Will I now that I know how? Now that I've done a course on how to interview my employees in 360 interviews, will I be actually able to do that? Well, how do I know if I understood that? Well, the knowledge check, okay, you've passed it, but how do I know before I actually screw up in my first interview and understand that I need to go back? So that's what's also important on that learning goals slide, and inside all of that communication, like explain what's the success criteria. Right. This is my again, another movie reference. If you can guess the movie, you get half a point, or not a movie; it's actually a TV show. If you can spell the guy's name, you get full points.
Yeah.
So I wanted to almost finish with an anecdote that. So a guy goes into hospital to undergo a very serious operation, and he's worried about that. And he asks his doctor, like, "Doc, I'm really worried about this operation. Will I be able to play violin?" And the doc says, "Well, yeah, we're operating on your knees essentially, and you of course you'll be able to play violin." And the guy says, "Well, that's amazing. I've never played violin in my life." Right. So the moral of the story is that avoid overselling. Right. It's easy to go into this crazy marketing communicator mentality and say that, okay, this course will change your life. Right. After this course, you will never do something again, or you will be a 5 times better communicator. You will be able to negotiate your salary to increase like tenfold in your first conversation with your boss, and stuff like that. Stuff that people who actually sell courses, like typical terrible courses,
but in reality, most often what happens is that some of the courses offer you or promise you skills,
right,
but really deliver only the knowledge.
right.
I think that's the biggest gap you will see in most of the courses.
Inside corporate world, yes, right. You will be able how to sell, and then we would just tell you
pyramids and models and nothing practical. Yes, so only theory.
Yeah. So avoid overselling. Be truthful and realistic about that.
To do that, I think we can. We have a suggestion how you can make sure that your goals are good. And I actually learned that from a client of mine, I think 10 years ago, that to be sure about your goals, you can go through, let's call it goals charting, where in the end of the whole course production process, when you have the actual course, list all of your goals on a piece of paper and go through the slides. If it's an e-learning course, for example, go through the slides and mark how many slides of, let's say, call it theory you have for each goal, how many slides of practice or reflection or any other interaction you have for those same goals, and also mark how many slides do not connect to any of those. That will give you an excellent X-ray of your course. You will see where you don't have enough, in terms of knowledge or practice or behavior, but also you will see what are the things that are not connected to the goals. So maybe the goals are wrong, maybe the content's wrong. Every time is different kind of situation, but I really suggest doing these X-rays. You will spend maybe 20 minutes, but that will allow you to really assess the quality of what you're doing.
It's very easy to do physically, right? So if you have a printout of your slides, you can just take Post-it notes and color code your goal. So you have a blue goal, yellow goal, and pink goal.
Yeah.
And then you just stick them on every slide if it follows that goal. And then you can also have two types of those stickers. You can say, okay, it's a theory sticker and a practice sticker, right? So you have a pink theory, pink goal theory, pink goal practice, and then you stick them, and then you find out that, well, we kind of missed all the practice for this goal, or something like this goal is all practice but no theory, or this slide does not support any of those goals in any of the ways. So maybe we need to reconsider.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a great way to do that. Very quick. You can try doing that with your old courses before rebuilding or updating them. And of course, you are welcome to talk to us if you need any help on that front. We're very happy to help you review stuff and build better stuff in the future. Thank you for coming this morning. Have a great Friday coffee. The spring is here. It's our first episode in spring, right?
Yeah.
The world is in a terrible place right now. So please be kind to each other, help who you can, and see you next time. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.